December 26, 1996. A bone-chilling morning in Boulder, Colorado. A frantic 911 call shatters the holiday silence. "We have a kidnapping. Our daughter is gone." The caller is Patricia Ramsey, better known as Patsy. Her voice trembles, words stumbling over each other in raw panic. Somewhere in their sprawling 15-room mansion, her 6-year-old daughter, JonBenet, a child beauty queen with golden curls and a dazzling smile, is missing. And on the wooden staircase, a chilling ransom note, 3 pages long, demands $118,000 for a safe return. But there's a problem so strange, so unsettling, that it would turn this case into one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in American history. Because JonBenet was never actually taken. It was supposed to be a perfect Christmas. The Ramseys, a wealthy and influential family, had just celebrated a joyful holiday. Their home was filled with decorations, laughter, and the scent of fresh pine. But sometime between the last Christmas gift and the early hours of the next morning, something went terribly wrong. At 5:52 a.m., Patsy's 911 call is placed. Police arrive minutes later, expecting a standard kidnapping case. Instead, they step into a crime scene that defies all logic. JonBenet's tiny body isn't found in a back alley or abandoned warehouse. She isn't discovered days later by authorities scouring the city. No, she's right there, inside her own home, hidden in the basement, behind a heavy wooden door, wrapped in a white blanket. Her skull is fractured. A garrote, crafted from a broken paintbrush and a cord, tightly wound around her neck. Her lips slightly parted, her hands cold. The police are stunned. The parents, devastated. And the world, about to witness one of the most perplexing, disturbing cases of all time. Let's talk about the ransom note. Because if there's one thing that throws this case into pure chaos, it's this bizarre 3-page letter. It demands $118,000, an oddly specific amount. Coincidentally, it matches the exact Christmas bonus JonBenet's father, John Ramsey, had received that year. Was it a clue, a coincidence, or something more sinister? Then there's the writing style. The note begins with, "Listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction." But here's the thing. No kidnappers ever mention who they are. They demand money, set deadlines, keep things brief. This note, it's long, wordy, and strangely theatrical. Almost as if someone wanted it to sound like a kidnapping, but didn't quite know how. And the strangest part? The note was written inside the house, on Patsy's notepad, using a pen from their own desk. Who writes a ransom note at the scene of the crime? Who is the time? And if this was a kidnapping, why was JonBenet's body still in the house? The Boulder Police Department was not prepared for this kind of case. From the very start, crucial mistakes were made. First, the house was not treated as a crime scene. Officers allowed family and friends to roam freely, contaminating potential evidence. Even John Ramsey himself was seen moving in and out of rooms without restriction. Then came the discovery of JonBenet's body. Instead of securing the scene, John carried her upstairs, cradling her in his arms. That meant any crucial forensic evidence, fingerprints, fibers, DNA, was now compromised. By the time investigators realized their errors, it was too late. From the moment JonBenet's case hit the news, America was divided. Some believed an intruder had crept in through a basement window. Others were convinced this was an inside job. Theory 1, the intruder theory. A mysterious outsider broke into the house, wrote the ransom note, and killed JonBenet before escaping undetected. The basement window was slightly ajar, but there were no clear signs of forced entry. A footprint was found near JonBenet's body, but it didn't match any family members. Theory 2, the family theory. Some investigators believe someone inside the house was responsible. The ransom note's handwriting had similarities to Patsy's. There was no evidence of anyone entering or leaving the house that night. Was this an accident covered up to look like a kidnapping? As the days turned into weeks, then months, the case took on a life of its own. The Ramseys became both grieving parents and prime suspects. The media turned them into villains. And through it all, one haunting question remained. Who killed JonBenet Ramsey? Just when it seemed like the case had reached a dead end, something unexpected happened. A new piece of evidence emerged. Something so bizarre, so shocking that it would reignite theories and send investigators spiraling down a new rabbit hole. And that's when the world learned about the pineapple. A half-eaten bowl of pineapple. It sounded harmless, ordinary even. But in the mysterious and tragic case of JonBenet Ramsey, this small detail might be the key to everything. You see, when investigators examined JonBenet's stomach contents, they found undigested pineapple, meaning she had eaten it shortly before her death. Yet her parents, John and Patsy, swore they never gave it to her that night. So how'd it get there? Who fed it to her? And could this single, overlooked clue unravel the case that has baffled the world for nearly 3 decades? Let's go back to the Ramsey household on Christmas night. According to the official timeline, JonBenet fell asleep in the car after a late visit to a friend's house. John carried her upstairs, tucked her in a bed, and that was supposedly the last time anyone saw her alive. But here's the problem. On the kitchen table, police found a bowl of fresh pineapple and milk, with a spoon still resting inside it. And dusted onto the bowl, small fingerprints belonging to JonBenet's older brother, Burke Ramsey. Burke, just 9 years old at the time, told police he had been asleep all night and knew nothing about what happened to his sister. But if that's true, why was his fingerprint on the pineapple? Did JonBenet wake up and come downstairs to join him? If so, was there an argument? Did something go terribly, horribly wrong? And more importantly, was this the real reason the crime scene was staged? Let's talk about the infamous 911 call. Patsy Ramsey dialed emergency services at exactly 5:52 a.m., claiming her daughter was kidnapped. But forensic experts later discovered something chilling hidden in the call's audio. After Patsy thought she had hung up, the phone line remained open for a few extra seconds, capturing voices in the background. What was heard? A male voice, possibly John Ramsey, saying, "We're not speaking to you." A young boy, believed to be Burke, muttering, "What did you find?" And Patsy, her voice hushed, whispering, "Help me, Jesus. Help me." The problem? The Ramseys had claimed Burke was asleep the entire time. So was he awake? Did he know something he wasn't supposed to? And why did Patsy sound so desperate before she even knew her daughter's fate? Cryptographers, military analysts, and intelligence experts have attempted to decipher the note found in the back of the rebate. The jumbled letters seem to follow a pattern, a structure too deliberate to be random. Some claimed it was a form of steganography, a message embedded within a seemingly innocuous text. Others believed it was a variation of the one-time pad cipher, an unbreakable code used by intelligence agencies. But if it was a spy code, who was it meant for? And, more chillingly, did someone receive the message before the Somerton Man died? The connection to Jessica Thompson, a woman with a secret. One undeniable link remained. Jessica Thompson, the woman who reacted so viscerally when shown the Somerton Man's plaster cast. She had denied knowing him, yet evidence suggested otherwise. Years later, her own family came forward with a stunning admission. Jessica's daughter claimed that her mother had known more than she let on. She had been trained in nursing, possibly even in wartime intelligence. And, curiously, she had owned a copy of the rebellion. Had she been involved in espionage? Had Carl Webb sought her out before his death? And if so, what had she been so desperate to hide? The final hours. What really happened? Piecing together the Somerton Man's final movements is like reconstructing a shattered mirror. He arrived in Adelaide. His suitcase, left in a train station, suggested he planned to stay for some time. He purchased a bus ticket, but never used it. He may have met someone, possibly Jessica, or someone connected to her. He ingested a poison so rare it left no trace. He was placed on the beach, his body left in a way that defied logic. No signs of struggle, no footprints leading to where he was found. Had he been poisoned elsewhere? Had he known his fate and accepted it? Or was his death the result of something far more methodical? Something planned? And if it was murder, who was behind it? Cliffhanger, the strangest theory of all. As researchers dive deeper, a radical new theory emerges, one that challenges everything we thought we knew about the case. What if the Somerton Man wasn't alone that night? What if he wasn't the only unidentified body linked to this mystery? Because there was another case, another body, a discovery that could change everything. Another body, another mystery. For decades, The Somerton Man's case stood alone, a singular, unsolved puzzle lost in the tides of time. But what if he wasn't the only one? In 1949, just months after the Somerton Man was discovered, a young boy stumbled upon a body in the sand dunes of Largs Bay, a coastal area not far from where the Somerton Man was found. The victim? A 2-year-old child named Clive Magnuson. His cause of death? Officially natural causes, but the circumstances were far from ordinary. His mother, Roma Magnuson, was found unconscious nearby, in a delirious state. She later claimed they had been stalked by a mysterious man in the days leading up to Clive's death. And then, there was the most chilling detail of all. Roma insisted that her husband had once found a copy of the Rubaiyat in their car, a book that neither of them owned. Could this be a coincidence? Or was there something deeper, an unseen force linking these deaths together? The shadow of espionage. Who killed the Somerton Man? Theories about the Somerton Man's death have ranged from the plausible to the fantastic. But one of the most persistent is that he was the victim of espionage. Consider the facts. His body contained no traceable poison, suggesting the use of a rare, sophisticated toxin. His clothes had no labels, standard procedure for intelligence operatives. His final message was hidden inside a Persian poem, a technique used in coded communications. Australia, in 1948, was a silent battlefield. The Cold War was escalating, and secret intelligence networks operated in the shadows. The country was home to the Woomera Test Range, a top-secret military site where the British and Australian governments were developing missile technology. Some researchers believe the Somerton Man was an agent, possibly a defector, who was eliminated when he became a liability. Others suggest he was carrying sensitive information that never made it to its intended recipient. And then there's Jessica Thompson. Jessica Thompson, the woman who knew too much. Jessica's involvement in the case has long been debated, but her own family later confirmed what many had suspected. She was hiding something. Her daughter, Kate, made a stunning claim. Jessica spoke Russian fluently, something she had never admitted publicly. In the 1940s, being fluent in Russian often meant one thing. You had connections to Soviet intelligence. Was she a spy? Was Carl Webb sent to meet her for reasons that had nothing to do with romance? One thing is certain. When shown a plaster cast of the Somerton Man's face, Jessica reacted with shock, and she never explained why. The DNA puzzle. What the final tests revealed. The biggest breakthrough in the case came in 2022 when DNA analysis confirmed the Somerton Man's identity as Carl Webb. But the revelation didn't close the case. It only deepened the mystery. Carl Webb wasn't a spy. He wasn't a trained operative. He was an electrical engineer from Melbourne, a man with a troubled marriage, a passion for poetry, and a disappearance that no one reported. So why did he die alone, on a beach, in the most cryptic circumstances imaginable? Did he take his own life, leaving behind a coded farewell? Or did someone silence him before he could tell his story? The unsolved legacy. More than 70 years later, the Somerton Man remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in history. Despite the identification of Carl Webb, questions still linger. Why did no one report him missing? How did he end up in Adelaide, with no clear reason for being there? Who, if anyone, was responsible for his death? And what, if anything, did Jessica Thompson really know? The truth may never be fully uncovered, but one thing is certain. Some mysteries refuse to stay buried, and the Somerton Man is still watching from the shadows of history.